You are Locked On Eagles Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That's right. It is the Locked On Eagles Postcast. Jason Myrtetus, Harry Mays. You can find us on the Locked On Philadelphia YouTube channel. 2-2 at the bye. The depleted Eagles stunk out loud on offense. We can kind of understand that. But they also stunk out loud on defense.
Absolutely. I'd tell you, what a dud, Jason. I know they tried getting back into it at the big play to start the second half from Saquon, which kind of gave them a jump start, eventually scoring a touchdown. But coming into this game, you were down your two big weapons at wide receiver, and that's a big deal. I get that. But you knew it all week. Right. So I was expected to see some wrinkles here from this new offensive coordinator, and into trying to work other guys into the action. I mean, you look at these third, fourth, fifth wide receivers. These guys can't play.
No, I can't.
These guys stink. Dotson stinks. Okay, He finally caught a pass late in the second half. I think he had 2 catches, but he stinks.
Yeah. Today, let me tell you, everybody, today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I know you're raring to go, Har.
Yeah, I know.
As much as, look, Devonte Smith out, obviously A.J. Brown out. He's down there. I guess they wanted to rest him one more game with the bye week next week.
So you need to rush him back.
And it's a hammy. You don't screw around.
A tricky injury.
Yeah. But you're also without Lane Johnson.
Right, yeah. We know their record without Lane Johnson. And then you lost Juergens in the second half, too, after he made an unbelievable block on that Saquon Barkley 59-yard run. They were depleted on the offensive line. And, that kind of stuff happens. I mean, I wasn't really concerned so much about, the offensive line as much coming in as I am. I'm just thinking, you got Saquon Barkley. You got to get him going.
Yeah, feature him.
They had 3 and outs to start this football game. I mean, it was 21-0 before you blinked. And now you're like, okay, now we're down all these weapons. How do we come back?
Yeah, why is there this refusal, especially this week, this refusal to feature him right away? I get the opposition's probably expecting that.
Well, yeah.
But what are your other options?
I know. They're like, well, they got Goddard and they got Saquon Barkley. That's all. Let's load up the box, or let's try to do whatever we can to make them not give it to Saquon Barkley. I understand all that, but, how about the quarterback making some plays with his legs?
Yeah. Well, he's too busy fumbling, Harry.
Seriously. I mean, that was a big part of his skill set. A year, 2 years ago, where you were like, man, he's going to make a big play with his legs. He did none of that really today.
Yeah. It was right away. I almost texted you right away in the beginning of the game going, click. This game was brutal.
Right, yeah.
They sucked in the first quarter of offense.
The defense was terrible, too. I mean, they couldn't tackle you or me today in that first half. I mean, it was almost like, hey, we're already on the bye week. It was like they weren't ready to play. They didn't really seem to have a plan offensively, minus the 2 big weapons to sort of cobble around an offense without that. I'm like, they got nothing today. They absolutely had nothing.
They look like an uninspired football team.
Yeah.
And while I go, okay, the coach was without his top 2 receivers and Lane Johnson, the anchor of that offensive line, I get all that. But they looked uninspired. Like that.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they checked out on this guy already?
I don't know.
They did last year.
I don't think so. I think it's too early for that. But, I mean, they might have checked into their bye week a couple hours early. That's for sure. But, this is where you needed a big effort from your defense, to keep you in this football game. Knowing that, points are going to be tough to come by for this offense. We understand that. I mean, there's injuries all around the league. It happens to teams in certain spots, and it's happening to the Eagles right now. But that's where you needed your defense to step up, make some stops, just tackle people. I mean, but my God, it was so easy for that Bucs offense. I took some notes here in the second quarter, right? I looked at the wide receivers on the stat sheet, and 6 or 7 of them had big plays already.
Yeah,
Godwin had a 28-yarder. This is in the second quarter. I know it changed. Evans had 17, Palmer 15, Otten, the tight end, 16, White 22. Then rushing, White had a 17-yard run. Irving had a 15-yard run. I mean, they're just gashing them for big plays. And that was in the second quarter. There's no effort here from that defense where they needed a big effort.
And you're right. A lot of it was just shoddy tackling.
Yes.
And again, that's uninspired. There's guys that just aren't bearing down and doing the necessary things to get stops. I mean, it was so ugly. They just they kept bringing up the weather on the broadcast.
Oh, I know. It was so hot.
I mean, I'm thinking, why do they keep bringing this? Like, no kidding, it's hot in Tampa.
It's
hot. It's Tampa.
Just had a hurricane blow through there. It's humid as hell down there.
Yes. But the Eagles bought into that. Were they complaining about that nonstop or something?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was hot. It was hot for both teams, and I get the one team is more used to it than you are. But
it's been hot here.
I don't want to hear
soup here last week.
If that's what happens to you and you fold up in the fourth quarter because you run out of gas and you're cramping up, that's fine. This was in the first quarter of the football game. Yeah. They were down 14-0 before you blinked. That had nothing to do with the heat. I don't want to hear it.
Well, that's the other, and you just brought it up. Those numbers you all just brought up, those huge chunk plays for them, was in the second. All those plays happened before the halftime.
Before halftime, the ones I gave you,
that's pathetic.
You had Sterling Shepard. It was just signed off the practice squad making a 30-yard reception on you. I mean, it's just everybody that Baker Mayfield chose to throw to was making big plays. Yeah. Mayfield looked unbelievable. He's having a good career so far in Tampa Bay. I got to give him credit. He really has. But, two big games against the Eagles, the playoff game last year and now this game. I mean, the Eagles make him look good.
Yeah. He's thinking, this Eagles team. What are you kidding me?
And how about Tampa's defense? They had 2 sacks coming into today in 3 games. Yeah. I think they had 6, 7, 8 sacks. I lost count.
They were all over him. When Todd Bowles dialed up pressure, they got home.
There. It got there. Yeah.
They really did. The other thing about Vic Fangio, all this fanfare. Oh, Vic Fangio. Yeah. What, this guy, I mean, has he impressed you at all, Harry?
No, he has not impressed me. And I'll tell you, Howie Roseman needs some dirt on this too. This Josh Huff, he stinks. He's done nothing.
Yeah.
That was one of the big signings in the offseason. That's been a bust so far. And the backups, the 3, 4, 5 wide receivers do not look good enough.
Well, they just simply don't have the depth at the position.
No, they don't look good enough.
Look, I get it. Most teams aren't good. If you're asking a number 3 receiver to be a number 1, it's not going to look good.
That's not. But I mean,
it's fair,
right?
But it's going to be adequate.
I mean, you brought in Dotson from Washington, and Dotson made some plays for Washington in the few years that he was there. He's one of your Penn State guys. He can do certain things. He's doing nothing for this squad. I know. He's not a number 1. He's like a 3, 3.5.
Well, but is this also a byproduct too of 2 things, Harry? Number 1, the head coach, or the play calling of Kellen Moore and the head coach to some degree. He seems to want to take it over when he wants to take it over.
Yeah, I know.
At points in games, and then the quarterback play.
Yeah. Well, they had another big turnover today. I mean, it was 30-16 or something when they had that
33.
Was it 33 by then? Yeah, because you had the strip sack. And you're like, they had a chance. Maybe they score there. They blitzed. It was 1st and 10 at the Tampa Bay 28. So you're close to the red zone.
Yep.
And they sent a blitz, and old Devonte David with a strip sack of Hurts, and he had just sort of seen him try to make a play on him over to his right. So he knew he was right there. He just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of pocket presence sometimes. And Brady pointed it out. I know you're crushing Brady. You think he stinks as an analyst. I'm getting texts from friends. Oh, Brady blows. I'm like, what do you want him to do?
He doesn't shut up before when the ball's about to be snapped. Hand it back to the play-by-play guy. If you need to pick up your story after, pick it up after.
Oh, but it's okay when Tony Romo does that.
No. But he gets out of the way for Jim Nantz. Jim Nantz calls the play, and then Romo goes in his.
This is Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, Kevin Burkhardt his job now is just to recap. So and so just went 7 yards because Brady wouldn't shut up. He's there telling stories about, I almost ended up a bear.
Yeah, it was great.
Give me a break.
33-16. You got to tell me a story.
He's the GOAT, greatest team sport athlete of all time, in my opinion. That being said, as an analyst, he needs to get a little introduced to a word called brevity. Speed it up, Tom.
Brevity. How about the first positive play for the Eagles was in that second quarter, and it was Brandon Graham with a sack. It took that long for them to get a positive play, and it was on defense.
And Graham, in his 15th year. And that's the only time I was looking forward to Brady saying something. He had a big sack at the Super Bowl.
right. But then right after that, you get the punt, right? And DeJean fumbles.
Yeah.
They blocked the guy into him. I know they threw the flag and they had to look at it, and he was blocked into him. So it ends up being a turnover. I mean, at every turn, they were just terrible in that first half.
It's like they were carrying a pistol just to shoot themselves in their own foot.
I know. And then on another punt where he put the fair catch arm up really late, they ran into one another too. They were a clown show today.
Yeah, again, let's talk about that. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about that. How at fault is coaching in total in what we saw today? So we'll talk about Nick Sirianni. We'll talk about Vic Fangio. We'll talk about all the coaches.
Kellen Moore, too.
Yeah, all of them are in the crosshairs right after this. All right, let me tell you about the Game Time app. This is the time of year to get the Game Time app. You go, well, why? Well, you got college basketball coming up. You got pro basketball coming. You got college football. You got, obviously, the NFL. You got maybe you want to go see Matvey Michkov. And you go, how am I going to get tickets?
Major League Baseball playoffs.
You got that. Well, they're going to be sold out, but you can go on the Game Time app and get those as well. The Game Time app is fantastic. All you have to do is create an account. I suggest creating the account now if you're not even looking for tickets today, just so you got it ready. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Create an account. Use that code LOCKEDONNFL, and you get that $20 off. And you look at Game Time app and you go, okay, I want to get tickets. You can filter certain deals, concerts, sports venues, by venue, all that stuff. And you can see the view right from it. It's like a virtual seat. You can see where you're going to be looking. Yeah, if you're on you go, okay, I'm going to a concert. I want to make sure I don't want to be sitting behind the stage behind a block of speakers and seeing, Eddie Vedder's ankles. I want to see the whole show, Right. Or are you going to see the Stones, right? You want to be able to see Keith Richards.
Or maybe we wanted to go to see Sebastian Maniscalco. Wasn't he just at the Wells Fargo?
Yeah. You go comedy show. You've got it all there. And you can see the view right from the app as well. All-in pricing shows your total cost up front. No hidden fees. So buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps on the Game Time app. So many ways to save money on tickets no matter when you buy. That includes the day of the event. Now, they get some great elements, too. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, 24-hour returns guaranteed, and job loss assurance. If you lose your job, they're going to give you your money back. You go, I bought this when I was flush with cash. Now I'm not. Get the Game Time app. Great ticket coverage. They love their fans, and they're committed to ensuring you have an outstanding experience with the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app today. All righty, Harry, let's go right to the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start out with Nick Sirianni. What we saw today was really disheartening play. They weren't ready.
Yeah.
They didn't look
inspired.
Yeah, they looked like they were staying down there to go get on the monorail and head over to Disneyland. This is more of a vacation trip. How much accountability do you put on the head coach for the team not being sharp and ready to go?
Well, yeah, a lot of it. I mean, that's his job. I mean, it's no longer. I know he's now saying that he's still involved in the play calling and stuff, which was interesting. But I mean, his overall job is to make sure that this squad, even especially guys that are backups now because they got so many injuries, are ready to go. And when you're down 14-0 before you blink an eye, that tells me they weren't ready to go. And especially on offense, it didn't seem like either Tampa Bay was already in the huddle and knew what they were going to run, because you go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out as a professional offense. I know your 2 wideouts, top 2 guys are out. I get that. You couldn't get a first down until midway through. The first down. Where was it? 6:43 left in the second quarter.
That's pathetic.
Give me a break.
Yeah, that's
okay.
pathetic.
So yeah, a lot of it goes on him, and I know we're going to go to the coordinators too. I am uninspired thus far. 4 games in by Kellen Moore. Yeah. I know there's motion, pre-snap motion. Is that all we're seeing? That's different. I'm not seeing anything terrific.
It's not doing anything.
No, I mean
pre-snap. It doesn't do. If it doesn't do anything, who gives a damn?
Yeah, I mean, it's different from the other guy. I get that. But, I'm not seeing any. I was expecting a couple of really creative sets and plays and, ways to get a guy like a backup tight end like Calcaterra open, or what. You know what I mean? Like, I'm expecting to see some coaching.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
And the fact that, the head coach's job is to figure out how to attack the opponent, both offensively and defensively, and to have your guys dialed in on the game plan, ready to execute it. And when you don't get your first down until, like you said, 6 minutes in the second quarter.
6:43 left in the second quarter, yeah.
And what you're doing, too, is you're killing your defense because you're just putting them right back on the field. And, that it is
And
hot.
It's 108 degrees feels like temperature.
Yeah, and they're just going right back on the field. It was like the Chip Kelly days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where, he runs offense so quick, it's so great. No, you're screwing your defense when you go 3 and out. They just caught their breath. Now they're going back out there again.
Right. Yeah.
And now they're on their heels. You're just playing from a position of weakness because you're never rested because the offense is back off the field immediately. All right, go to Kellen Moore, Harry. You said it. We see all the motion, but I got to tell you, 4 games in, I'm really uninspired by this guy. And the fact that Sirianni this week admitted that he grabs the con, it's like a hunt for Red October. So-and-so's on the con. And then all of a sudden he doesn't like the way things are going with the sub. And Gene Hackman's back on the con.
Mm-hmm.
That's Sirianni.
Yeah.
What is going on here? You can't do that. You cut your guys' legs off.
I know, and we're only 4 weeks in. I mean, God.
It's a mess.
It really is. Yeah, and yet, they came into this game. They were one dropped pass from being 3-0. I mean, that's how crazy this league is.
Yeah.
Now you're 2-2. You're going into a bye. You'll expect to have both of those wide receivers back for week 5. Well, actually, it'd be week 6, their 5th game, and then you got to run you got to go all the way to the end of the year. The early bye here. I know it might be good for these wideouts, to sort of get them back in, in the lineup. But now you got to go 13 weeks.
Yeah, 13 straight
weeks. It's a pretty big stretch. So
you're going from October 13th to January 5th,
right?
With the remainder of the schedule straight through, and you got some short weeks in there because of primetime games, Thursday night games,
a lot of
November 14th.
primetime games for this team. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see in hindsight if this bye week ends up coming at a good time because if they played next week, would A.J. Brown play? I don't know. Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
I don't know about Devonte Smith if he's going to clear protocol or Lane Johnson, though.
Yeah, that's kind of out of their hands.
Yeah.
No.
So, look, if Lane Johnson and Devonte Smith come back after the bye and A.J. Brown comes back, then you go, okay, that's probably at a good time because you don't want to just keep dropping games because you want to buy at week 9. So, all right, let's flip to the other coordinator, and that's Vic Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
Because he comes in, and like we've seen these guys under Sirianni, they don't dial up pressure. They like to get pressure from a 4-man front and those kind of things. Vic Fangio comes in kind of similar philosophically, but this team, I mean, they give up 33 points here. And despite all the weapons you're missing on offense, the fact of the matter is you gave up 33 points, and you are not going to win a lot of games giving up that many points.
No, you're not. I mean, the tackling was just so bad today. I mean, that really, to me, was very eye-opening. I mean, that to me has nothing to do with the coordinator. Like, he's drawing up defense, calling defenses. That's effort to me.
That's that uninspired play we just talked about.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know how much that has to do with Vic Fangio, but I mean, it's like, these players come into this game, knowing that they're down certain big weapons. It's time for me to step up. The guys on that defense look at one another and say, hey, we got to make a big play. We got to turn them over. How about we turn them over?
Yeah.
We get a big sack, or we tip a ball and intercept it and make a play. And none of that happened today.
Yeah, you're right. That's where guys need to step up and go, let's give our offense a really short field.
Exactly. Yeah.
When they're struggling and they don't have a first down through midway through the second quarter.
I mean, you look at these numbers here. Now, Barkley had 84 yards rushing on only 10 carries. I mean, think about that.
But 59 of it comes on one run.
Right. 59 of it comes on one run. But, 10 carries, that's because you're down 21-0. And, Tampa did what Tampa was supposed to do. They're like, hey, this team's depleted with big weaponry. Let's get up on them early.
Yeah.
And that's going to end up taking Saquon and his run game kind of out of the picture. Outside that big run, he didn't really do much. And you look at the receiving. Of course, Goddard he's the one big target. He had 7 catches, 62 yards. His long was only 18. And then you go to Barkley, who's usually pretty good out of the backfield. But then look, Calcaterra, 1 catch. Paris Campbell, 4 catches, 17 yards. That's 4 yards a catch.
Yeah,
that's
you must.
Nothing.
Dotson, it's like 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Right. I mean, this guy John Ross, one for they're back. They're secondary guys in the receiving core stink.
Well, here's the thing: a coach in sports will go, "I'm going to take away your best weapons, and if you can beat me."
Right.
With your ancillary pieces.
Props to you.
Yeah, I'll give you a golf clap.
Exactly.
But I am, in this situation, I am not letting Barkley beat me.
Right.
But the Eagles beat themselves, too, because they got down so big.
Yeah. Now, the Buccaneers had 7 receivers with at least a play of 14 yards. 7.
Oh, my. No, get out of here.
Yes.
17 receptions?
7 of at
7
least
players.
7 players. Sean Tucker had a 14-yarder. I never even heard of Sean Tucker. Trey Palmer had a 15-yarder. He had 3 catches. Like I said, Sterling Shepard just signed off the practice squad. 3 catches, 51 yards, and a long of 30. I mean, they got some guys you never heard of making plays.
Well, Baker Mayfield, what did he throw the ball? 47 times?
47 times. He completed 30. Yeah. 2 TDs. He didn't turn it over.
Yeah,
so
the crazy part is they're up huge, and they still just chuck the ball all over the place.
I know. They were very aggressive.
Yeah, even that drive late in the first half.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they were throwing the ball.
Why aren't you're up? 24-7 at that point?
Yep.
Don't you just want to? I know the Eagles are going to get the ball back in the second half, but don't you just want to kind of get to halftime and go, okay, we're good, successful first half here?
And that was one where the Eagles defense held. I remember Slay made a good play on 2nd and 10.
Yep.
He really was aggressive, going for the ball, defended the pass, and then they ended up getting nothing out of it. But yeah, I mean,
well, the Eagles got the ball with 1:29 back and 2 timeouts. They did nothing.
Right.
That could have been a turning point in the game. All right, coming up, we're going to give our thoughts once again on this game, a loss now. The Eagles are 2-2 at the break. We'll try and figure out what that means coming up. So we'll do that coming up right after this.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return right on FanDuel. That's America's #1 sportsbook, by the way. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're placing your bets. How cool is that? You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. If you think a team has momentum like Tampa Bay did early in this game today, if you think they're going to score, you can live bet it as you watch. FanDuel has made it super easy so you don't miss any of the action. With FanDuel, it's not just straight bets and parlays either. Visit FanDuel.com and you can see all of the odds and opportunities to get in on the action while you watch the action. What could be better? That's FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. It's all at FanDuel.com.
All right, 2-2, Harry, at the break.
Yep.
The early bye week. This was the first quarter of the season poll. It's not anymore because you got the 17 games, but we'll call it the first quarter. And I'm completely I don't know what this Eagles team is. I don't know where they're going. I have no clue what is in store for the final, 13 games of this year. I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's really a shame that, the A.J. Brown has this hamstring. You just see how valuable he is to what they do. I mean, they're just a totally different team. And then you couple that with Devonte Smith, too, who's such a great possession guy. I mean, he just moves the chains with first down after first down after first down. He's a real reliable target for this quarterback. So, I don't know. These guys are going to come back week 5, I guess, and you'll have a go at it. I mean, 2-2 is not, the end of the world by any stretch. Dallas is 2-2.
Yeah.
You got the Commanders now 2-1, and they play later on today. They're playing right now, I guess, against Arizona. And their quarterback had a really nice game the other night. Maybe it was sort of a coming out party, but I think this is going to be a pretty good division with those 2.5 to 3 teams. I'm still, the Giants are the Giants. They stink. But it's going to be really interesting. I still think the Eagles are the best team. But they just got to figure out what their real identity is. I don't know that they really know that yet with this new play caller, and I think he's still sort of figuring out what he's got and what guys are good at what. And it's September is a feeling out process for a lot of these teams. The Eagles are not alone there. I mean, they do so little, real stuff in the preseason that these first couple of games are kind of like preseason games that count. So the season gets going now when they come back from the bye.
Yeah, I think this is where the loss of Kelce hurts, because I think he was a guy like Kelce was one of those guys that helped forge an identity.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're looking for somebody to step up and forge that identity. It should be the quarterback, frankly.
It should. But he's kind of he's reticent to be that guy. He's a lead by example guy, watch me and my habits and practice habits and all that stuff's great. And he's great off the field. He doesn't get any kind of trouble. He's not a look at me guy.
Yep.
But there are times when I think he needs to step in and be a little more demonstrative.
Yeah.
And we're not at practice, so I don't know, I don't see what goes on there. And we're not in the meetings. I don't see if he's, commanding the room in meetings and so forth. But I'd like to see it on the field where he just sort of takes a hold of things a little bit, make a big play today with your legs and, getting somebody's grill, show me some emotion,
some spark.
Yeah.
Because a team with that identity always results in a team that's a loser. You've got to have identity, but it has to happen organically. You can't say, hey, we're this.
It can't be forced.
You can't just say it. It has to happen. And that has to happen through the leadership and being a leader that other guys want to follow. Because when you have a team with as many players like a football team does, there's going to be 2/3 of your team that are not leaders; they're followers.
Yeah,
and they need to follow somebody. Brandon Graham needs to be that guy defensively.
Right. Yeah,
and Hurts needs to be the guy for the football club.
I was just going to ask you that. It's Brandon Graham on defense right now. He's the elder statesman, and he really is kind of the leader. But now you start to think, well, who's the next guy to sort of step up and sort of assume the 1A on that defense? Because they need that.
Yeah, who's the guy that goes on to that level of leadership, consistent, good play? I don't know. Cox is gone.
Right.
And look, Graham's been around forever. He's in his 15th season.
I know. This is it. Obviously.
Yeah. So I don't know where it goes from there, but look, that's one of the things that needs to come out of this season, too, is who's the next leadership group of the football team. And the fact that we're even asking the questions about Hurts when it comes to being a demonstrative leader on game day.
I don't think he's ever going to be what a lot of us want.
I don't want him to be something he's not, though, either.
Right.
Just doing it to do it. Because that's fake, right?
Right.
And players, I think they see right through that. But who are those guys going to be? Like A.J. Brown, it's hard to make a receiver one of those guys because they're all a little bananas.
Yeah.
To be honest, right?
Part of what makes them great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. They're alpha athletes that want to affect the game, but they get targeted 6 plays of an entire game.
And Barkley's still new here. I mean, he only played 4 games here as an Eagle. I mean, I think by the end of the season, he's going to be one of those guys.
Oh, he's going to right now through 4 games. He's their MVP.
Well, yeah,
and that's not even close. He's been great so far. And the odd part about that is his gaffe cost them one of the games.
Right. Yeah.
And he's still the MVP.
Maybe 3-1 right now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So 2-2 after 4 games. You've played 4 NFC teams.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to dip into the AFC when they return with the Cleveland Browns.
Right. 2 conference losses now. So remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see we look back at Green Bay. Did Green Bay end up losing today?
Green Bay was getting boxed by Minnesota, and then I think they came back.
They were battling back. I don't know if they got close, though. I'm looking at it now.
I think that game was 24-0 at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, final of 31-29 as the Green Bay loses at home.
Oh, okay.
So they go to 2. The Vikings are for real, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
They scored 28 first half points, only 3 in the second half. Turns out to be the difference. They're 4-0. Saints lose to the Falcons. Yeah, now those 2 teams are 2. What a mess the NFC is.
I tell you, that division's going to be pretty good. Those 3 teams are going to beat the crap out of one another throughout the season. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and New Orleans.
The NFC North, yeah, unbelievable. The Eagles go to 2-2. Tampa now goes to 3-1. So it'll be interesting. They'll get Cleveland when they come back in a couple weeks on the 13th. That'll be a 1:00 game. We'll have Eagles Postcast for you there as well. And then coming up at the Giants after that, and at Cincinnati before their primetime game against Jacksonville. Let's wrap things up there, Harry. 2-2 at the bye. We'll take the bye week next week. I'm not concussed, Harry.
No,
but I may
need a week.
I may need a week to get cleared.
Okay.
From Matvey Mishkov mania.
Oh God! Don't get me started.
He's leading the NHL in preseason points, Harry.
Oh man.
Thanks for making Locked On Eagles Postcast your first listen today, and make the Locked On Eagles podcast your first listen tomorrow. Now for your second listen, go find the new Locked On NFL now with 2 shows every day. First, the Madman Tyler Rowland kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso, and then stop by the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, the postcast found on YouTube and wherever you find your podcast as well. Last word to Harry.
Yeah, and don't forget about Farzetta, too. He does the Phillies postcast. We got the playoffs coming up starting next weekend.
He's got the Red October Phillies postcast.
That's right.
Oh, man. What a great time of year. And it's going to feel like fall starting this week. This may be the last couple of days of shirts and T-shirts, Harry.
I know. This weekend, it was pretty cold.
Let's get some football weather.
Felt like winter golf this weekend.
Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time on the Locked On Eagles Postcast.